The frigate Defiant Hope drifted through the darkness of space like a wounded animal. Hull breaches glowed orange against the black void, and debris floated around the ship in a lazy spiral. Inside, emergency lights flickered in the damaged corridors. Half the crew was dead. The other half wished they were anywhere else. Captain Hannah Park stood on the bridge, her uniform torn and blood-stained. She stared at the massive ship in front of them. The Vralth battleship Endless Conquest was 10 times larger than her frigate. Its weapons were charging, ready to deliver the final blow. Hannah had fought in dozens of battles during the 3-year war, but she had never felt this helpless. "Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command," Lieutenant Una Choi said from her station. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook as she worked the controls. Hannah nodded. The message played on the main screen. It was pre-recorded, sent hours ago. Admiral Ji-Hoon Kang's face appeared, looking older than she remembered. "This is Earth Command to all vessels. Earth's defense grid has fallen. Evacuation transports are launching now. We need time. Buy us whatever minutes you can. Humanity will remember your sacrifice," the message ended. Silence filled the bridge. Everyone knew what it meant. They were supposed to die here slowly, to give civilians a few more minutes to escape. Hannah looked at her crew. They were exhausted, scared, and injured, but they were still here. "We're not going to just sit here and wait," Hannah said quietly. "We're going to board that battleship." Lieutenant Una turned to stare at her. "Captain, that's suicide. Even if we get aboard, we don't have enough people or weapons to take it." "We don't need to take it," Hannah replied. "We just need to cause chaos. Make them focus on us instead of the transports. Every minute they waste on us is a minute more for Earth." Instructor Dae-Ho Shin, the weapons officer, spoke up from his station. "The boarding tube is damaged. Only one person can fit through at a time. And whoever goes won't be coming back." Hannah nodded slowly. She looked around the bridge, expecting one of her Marines to volunteer. They were trained for this kind of mission. But before anyone could speak, a young voice cut through the silence. "I'll go." Everyone turned. Standing near the back of the bridge was Cadet Taemin Kim. He was 19 years old, wearing an academy uniform that looked too clean compared to everyone else's battle-worn gear. He had been on the ship for less than a week, transferred when his academy was evacuated. His hands were clenched into fists, but his voice didn't shake. "With respect, Cadet." "You're not trained for this," Hannah said gently. "He scored highest in close-quarters combat simulations at the academy," Instructor Dae-Ho said. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Dae-Ho had been Taemin's instructor before the war reached Earth, and he's small enough to fit through the damaged boarding tube. "Our Marines are too big," Hannah studied the young man. He looked terrified, but he hadn't stepped back. "Do you understand what you're volunteering for?" "You won't survive this," Taemin swallowed hard. "I understand, Captain. But if I don't go, we all die anyway. At least this way I can help," Una stood up. "Captain, we can't send a cadet. He's just a kid." "I'm a soldier," Taemin said, his voice stronger now. "Maybe not a good one yet, but I'm still a soldier. Let me do this." Hannah was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Get him suited up." 20 minutes later, Taemin stood in the airlock wearing a combat suit that was 3 sizes too large. The helmet felt heavy on his head. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. Instructor Dae-Ho helped him check the seals one last time. "Remember your training?" Dae-Ho said quietly. "Stay low, keep moving, don't think too much. Your body knows what to do." Taemin nodded, not trusting his voice. Lieutenant Una approached, carrying a small pack of explosives. She attached it to his belt and showed him how to arm them. When she was done, she looked at him for a moment, then pulled him into a brief hug. "They don't know what we are yet," she whispered in his ear. "Show them what humans can do." Taemin stepped into the boarding tube. It was narrow and dark, barely wider than his shoulders. Through the small window, he could see the Vralth battleship waiting like a metal mountain. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. "Launch in 10 seconds, Hannah's voice came through his helmet. "Taemin, whatever happens, you gave us hope. That matters." "Thank you, Captain," he managed to say. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. Taemin closed his eyes and thought about Earth, about his family, about all the people on those evacuation transports who didn't know he existed. 7, 6, 5. He opened his eyes. 4, 3, 2, 1. The tube launched with a violent kick. Taman shot through space toward the enemy battleship. The stars spun around him. His stomach lurched. He could see the Defiant Hope getting smaller behind him. The ship looked so fragile, so broken. He wondered if he would see it explode before he reached the battleship. The Vralth ship grew larger and larger. Its hull was covered in strange, organic-looking armor that seemed to pulse with a sickly light. Taman realized he was screaming inside his helmet. He couldn't stop. Terror filled every part of his body. This was real. He was really going to die here. The boarding tube slammed into the battleship's hull. Metal screamed. Taman's teeth rattled. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the tube's explosive bolts fired, blowing a hole in the ship's exterior. Atmosphere rushed out, and Taman was sucked through the opening into the enemy battleship. He tumbled through the air and crashed onto a metal floor. His suit's systems screamed warnings. He had maybe 8 minutes before the Defiant Hope would be destroyed. 8 minutes to cause enough chaos to matter. Taman forced himself to his feet. He was in a massive hangar bay filled with alien fighter craft. The lighting was dim and reddish. Everything smelled wrong, even through his suit's filters. Alarms blared all around him. Then he saw them. Vralth soldiers emerging from the shadows. They were huge, at least 7 feet tall, with forearms and bodies covered in chitinous armor. They moved like insects, fast and inhuman. There were 6 of them, and they all carried weapons. Taman raised his rifle. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely aim. This was it. This was how he died. The Vralth approached. Their weapons pointed at him, but they didn't fire. The lead Vralth stopped suddenly, its weapon lowered. The others stopped too, frozen in place. One by one, their weapons clattered to the floor. They backed away from him. Through his helmet's translator, broken words came through in a language he didn't understand. Then in English. Death. World. Predator. We yield, Taman stared at them. His finger was on the trigger, but the Vralth weren't attacking. They were afraid of him. It didn't make any sense. He was just a cadet, just a scared kid in an oversized suit. But the aliens didn't know that. They only saw a human, and for some reason that was enough. Taman stood frozen in the hangar bay, his rifle still pointed at the Vralth soldiers. They remained motionless, their weapons on the floor between them. His mind couldn't process what was happening. Every training scenario had prepared him for a fight to the death. No one had taught him what to do when the enemy surrendered before he even fired a shot. One of the Vralth made a gesture with all 4 of its arms, spreading them wide to show it carried nothing. The translator in Taman's helmet crackled again. Please, we mean no harm. Do not kill us. Taman's finger trembled on the trigger. Part of him screamed to fire, to avenge all the humans who had died in this war. But he couldn't. They weren't attacking. They were begging. He slowly lowered his rifle and took a step forward. The Vralth immediately backed away, maintaining distance from him. His suit's timer showed 7 minutes remaining. He needed to move, to find the reactor core and plant the explosives. That was the mission. Taman looked around the hangar and spotted a large doorway on the far side. He started walking toward it, keeping his rifle ready. The Vralth didn't follow. They watched him go, their alien eyes tracking his every movement. The corridors of the battleship were massive, built for creatures larger than humans. The walls had the same organic appearance as the exterior, like being inside a living thing. Taman's boots echoed on the metal floor. His breathing sounded too loud in his helmet. He expected an ambush at every corner, but the corridors were empty. Then he heard movement ahead. Taman pressed against the wall and raised his rifle. A group of Vralth emerged from a side passage, at least a dozen of them. They were armed and in formation. This was it. This was the fight he'd been expecting. But the same thing happened. The moment they saw him, they stopped. Confusion rippled through their ranks. Their leader chittered something in their language, and one by one they lowered their weapons. Some placed them on the ground. Others backed away, pressing themselves against the walls to give him room to pass. Taman walked through the middle of them. His heart pounded. Every instinct told him this was a trap, that they would attack the moment he turned his back. But nothing happened. They let him pass. As he moved down the corridor, he could hear them chittering to each other, their voices full of what sounded like fear. 6 minutes left. Taman increased his pace. He reached a junction where multiple corridors met. A massive screen on the wall displayed alien text and flowing symbols. His suit's translator was basic, designed for combat commands, but it caught fragments of the text. Alert. Deathworlder. Class 12. Predator species. Forbidden engagement. Death Worlder. Class 12? Taman had no idea what that meant. He studied the screen, trying to make sense of it. There were images too, showing different alien species with numbers beside them. Most had low numbers between 1 and 5. A few showed higher numbers. And then he saw it. An image of a human with the number 12 in bold red symbols. Before he could think about it more, he heard a sound behind him. Taman spun around, raising his rifle. At least 50 Vralth had gathered in the corridor, filling the space. But they weren't attacking. They were just watching, waiting. Some of them had their upper arms crossed over their chests in what might be a gesture of respect or submission. "What do you want?" Taman shouted. His voice cracked. "Why aren't you fighting?" One Vralth stepped forward, different from the others. It wore what looked like officer markings on its armor. Through the translator, it spoke in careful English. "We cannot fight you, human. It is forbidden. You are Class 12, we did not know. Our commanders did not know. We made a terrible mistake." "I don't understand," Tamin said. "What's Class 12? Why does it matter?" The Vralth officer seemed to struggle with the question. "Your world. Your species. You are from a death world. You are predators. The galaxy has rules about your kind. We broke those rules. Now we must face the consequences. 5 minutes." Taman's mission timer was counting down faster than his ability to understand what was happening. He should be planting explosives, not having a conversation with the enemy. But none of this made sense. The war had been brutal. The Vralth had destroyed human colonies, killed millions. They had shown no mercy. Why would they suddenly be afraid of one human? "You've been killing us for 3 years, Taman said. "You've destroyed our colonies. Why stop now?" "We did not understand what you were," the officer replied. "We thought you were weak, soft, easy to conquer. We were wrong. Every battle teaches us how wrong we were. Your soldiers fight when they should be dead. They survive wounds that would kill any other species. They show their teeth before they kill. You are nightmare made real." "Show their teeth?" Taman realized the officer meant smiling. The Vralth thought humans smiling was a threat display, like a predator showing its fangs. The thought was almost funny, except nothing about this situation was funny. 4 minutes. He needed to make a decision. He could still complete his mission, plant the explosives, maybe take out part of the ship's systems. But looking at the Vralth gathered before him, seeing their fear, he wondered if there was another way. "Take me to your commander," Taman said. He had no authority to negotiate. He was just a cadet, but maybe, just maybe, he could find out more about what was happening, about why they feared humans so much. The officer hesitated, then gestured with 2 of its arms. "Follow. I will take you to High Commander Kreth, but please do not harm us. We are surrendering. We recognize our error." They moved through the ship, the officer leading while the other Vralth followed at a distance. Taman kept his rifle ready, but the absurdity of the situation wasn't lost on him. He was a prisoner being escorted by his captors who were afraid of him. His suit's communication system still showed no signal. The Vralth were jamming all frequencies. The Defiant Hope had no idea what was happening to him. 3 minutes left. They reached a massive doorway that opened onto a command chamber. It was enormous, with high ceilings and screens showing views of space all around. In the center stood a Vralth even larger than the others, its carapace covered in scars and decorative marks. This had to be the commander. Beside the commander stood another Vralth, slightly smaller but with similar decorations. They both turned as Taman entered. The room was filled with Vralth crew members at various stations. The moment they saw him, every single one of them went still. The commander raised one hand, and weapons that had been subtly moving toward him froze. "Stop," the commander said in perfect English, much better than the translator. "Lower all weapons. This human is under protection of negotiation rights." Negotiation rights? Taman's head spun. This wasn't how wars worked. You didn't board an enemy ship and suddenly start negotiations, but that was exactly what seemed to be happening. The commander removed its own weapon harness and dropped it on the floor with a loud clang. The sound echoed through the chamber. Then slowly the commander knelt. It actually knelt. The second in command followed suit. Around the chamber, every Vralth lowered themselves in the same gesture. "I am High Commander Kreth," the large Vralth said. "This is my second, Ven. We cannot fight you, child of Earth. It is forbidden by galactic law. We should have researched your species before attacking. That failure is mine. We will not compound our error by harming you. Taman stared at the sight before him. An entire battleship's command crew, kneeling before a 19-year-old cadet. His timer showed 2 minutes until the Defiant Hope would be destroyed. He had come here to die. Instead, he might have just ended a war. Taman stood in the command chamber surrounded by kneeling Vralth. His rifle felt heavy in his hands. He had 90 seconds left according to his suit's timer before the Defiant Hope would be destroyed. But High Commander Kreth was talking about galactic law and forbidden engagements. None of it made sense. Get up, Taman said. His voice sounded strange in his own ears, trying to sound commanding when he felt like a child playing soldier. I need answers now. What is Class 12? Why did you stop fighting? Kreth rose slowly, keeping her movements careful and non-threatening. The Galactic Council maintains a database of all known species, she began. Every species is classified by their danger level. Most civilizations are Class 1 through 3. They evolved on peaceful worlds. They know only cooperation. Class 4 through 7 are warrior races, like my own people. Class 8 through 10 are rare, dangerous, species that should be approached with caution. And humans? Taman asked, though he was starting to guess the answer. Class 12, Kreth said quietly. There are only 7 Class 12 species in the known galaxy. All of them evolved on what we call death worlds. Planets where everything is hostile, where the environment itself is deadly. Earth is one of the worst death worlds ever discovered. Ven, the second, spoke up. Her English wasn't as smooth as Kreth's, but she managed. Your planet should not produce intelligent life. The weather kills. The earthquakes, volcanoes, storms. Your diseases evolve faster than medical science on most worlds can track. Even your plants are toxic. Your animals are predators. Everything on Earth is designed to kill. It's not that bad, Taman protested, but even as he said it, he realized how defensive it sounded. He had grown up with tornado warnings, earthquake drills, and venomous snakes in his backyard. He'd had 3 different vaccinations before he was allowed to attend school. That was just normal life. To you, perhaps, Kreth said. To the rest of the galaxy, Earth is a nightmare. But it's not just your planet. It's what your planet made you. You are persistence predators, Cadet. Do you know what that means? Taman shook his head. His timer showed 60 seconds. Most predators in the galaxy are ambush hunters, Kreth explained. They strike fast and kill quickly, or they give up. Humans are different. Humans chase their prey for hours, days even. You run your prey to exhaustion. You don't stop. You never stop. This is terrifying to species like mine. We're not hunting you, Taman said. But you could, Ben replied. That is the point. You have the eyes of a predator, both pointing forward to track prey. You show your teeth when you are happy. When predators show teeth, it means they are about to bite. Your body produces chemicals that allow you to ignore pain and injury. You can function with broken bones. You can keep fighting when you should be dead. 40 seconds. Taman glanced at his timer, then back at Kreth. So what? We're survivors. That doesn't make us monsters. No, Kreth agreed. But it makes you dangerous in ways we did not understand. When we first attacked your colonies, we expected easy victory. We thought humans would surrender quickly, like most species do. Instead, your soldiers fought until every single one was dead. They turned farming equipment into weapons. They used their own bodies as shields for others. They smiled at us as they died. The smile thing again. Taman thought about soldiers facing death with grim determination, maybe showing defiance with a bitter smile. The Vralth had interpreted it as a predator's threat. A final warning before the kill. 20 seconds. His hands were shaking again, but not from fear now. From understanding. From the weight of what he was learning. The war had been a mistake from the beginning. The Vralth had poked a sleeping predator and were shocked when it bit back. Why didn't you stop? Taman asked. When you realized what we were, why did you keep attacking? Kreth's mandibles clicked in what might have been shame, pride, fear. We thought if we could conquer you quickly, before the rest of the galaxy learned you existed, we could control you. Use your strength for our empire. We were fools. Every battle made it worse. We lost ships. We lost soldiers. And then you did something we never expected. What? 10 seconds. You came here, Ven said. Alone. Terrified. We can see you shaking in your suit. Any sane species would have run away. But you came anyway. You boarded our battleship by yourself. This is what makes Class 12 species truly dangerous. You function despite fear. You attack even when afraid. You are a creature from our evolutionary nightmares. 5 seconds. I'm just a cadet, Taman said quietly. I'm 19 years old. I've never been in real combat before today. I'm not what you think I am. 0. The timer hit 0, and for a moment Taemin's heart stopped. The Defiant Hope should be destroyed now. Captain Hana, Lieutenant Yuna, Instructor Daeho, all dead. He had failed to complete his mission, and now they had died for nothing. Then alarms blared throughout the command chamber. Kreth moved to a display screen. Her expression was unreadable on her alien face, but her body language showed surprise.
"Your ship still lives," she said.
"And there are new contacts entering the system." Taemin rushed to the screen. He could see the Defiant Hope on the display, still damaged but still intact. And surrounding it were dozens of new ships emerging from faster-than-light travel. Human ships. The reinforcements from Earth's reserve fleet had arrived. "Your people came," Ben said, and there was something like respect in her voice. Of course they did. Humans protect their pack. Another predator trait. But there were other ships too, ones that didn't match human or Vralth design. They were sleek and silver, marked with a symbol Taemin had never seen before. A circle with multiple connected points like a star chart. "The Council," Kreth said, and now her voice held genuine fear. "The Galactic Council is here. They have been monitoring the situation. This is very bad for my people." A new transmission cut through all frequencies. Taemin's suit picked it up, and suddenly he could see a figure on the command chamber's main screen. It wasn't human or Vralth. It looked like crystalline light shaped into a vaguely humanoid form, beautiful and ancient and powerful. "This is Ambassador Lix of the Galactic Council," the being said, speaking in multiple languages at once. Taemin heard English, but he could also hear Kreth's translator, working to interpret other versions. "This conflict must end immediately. The Vralth Dominion has violated fundamental protocols by engaging a Class 12 species in unauthorized warfare." Kreth bowed her head. "Ambassador, we acknowledge our error. We are prepared to face punishment. The standard punishment would be dissolution of your empire and restriction of your technology," Lix said. Her voice was neither angry nor sympathetic, just stating facts. "However, the Council recognizes that this war was begun in ignorance rather than malice. If Earth agrees to accept your unconditional surrender and participates in Council mediation, the punishment could be lessened." Taemin realized everyone was looking at him. Both the Vralth in the chamber and the Council ambassador on the screen. "Why are you looking at me?" he asked. "I'm just a cadet. I don't have authority to negotiate." "You are a human standing on a Vralth battleship that has surrendered to you," Lix said. "In this moment, Cadet Taemin Kim, you represent your species. Your people are watching through your suit's camera. Earth Command is receiving this transmission. The choice of how to proceed begins with you." Taemin looked down at his suit. A small light on his chest plate was blinking. His camera had been broadcasting everything. Captain Hana had seen the Vralth surrender. Instructor Daeho had heard about the Death World classification. Earth knew everything. His communicator crackled to life. Captain Hana's voice came through, weak but clear. "Taemin, this is Captain Park. Earth Command is watching. They're sending Admiral Kang with a diplomatic team. But you're there now and they want your assessment. Can the Vralth be trusted to negotiate in good faith?" Taemin looked at High Commander Kreth, who met his gaze without flinching. She had dropped her weapons. Her crew had surrendered without a fight. They could have killed him the moment he boarded, but they hadn't. They were afraid, yes, but they were also trying to make things right. "Yes," Taemin said. "I think they can be trusted. They made a mistake. A big one. But they're willing to face the consequences." Ambassador Lix's crystalline form seemed to shimmer. "Then we shall wait for Earth's official representatives. This may be the beginning of something new, Cadet Kim. Humanity has been isolated for so long. Today you step onto the galactic stage. What happens next will change everything." 2 hours passed before the human diplomatic shuttle arrived at the Vralth battleship. Taemin spent that time in the command chamber, watched by dozens of Vralth crew members who maintained a careful distance from him. High Commander Kreth had offered him food and water, but he had refused, not quite trusting it. His suit's systems kept him alive, though he was getting tired and uncomfortable. Ambassador Lix's ship maintained position nearby, her presence a constant reminder that the galaxy was watching. More Council ships had arrived, forming a perimeter around both human and Vralth vessels. Taemin had never felt so small and so important at the same time. Finally, his communicator chirped. "Taemin, this is Lieutenant Yuna. We're docking now." "Hold tight." Relief flooded through him. Yuna was alive. They were all alive. He hadn't failed them after all. The main hangar bay doors opened, and a human shuttle glided in, looking tiny and fragile compared to the Vralth craft around it. When the door opened, Taemin saw familiar faces. Admiral Ji-hoon Kang stepped out first, wearing a crisp uniform and an expression of careful neutrality. Behind him came Lieutenant Yuna and Instructor Daeho, both armed but with their weapons holstered. They were followed by a small team of Marines who looked ready for anything. Taemin started toward them, then stopped. He didn't know if he should salute, report, or just run to them. Before he could decide, Yuna broke protocol and rushed forward, pulling him into a brief, tight hug. "You did it," she whispered. "You bought the time we needed. All the transports got away. You saved thousands of lives." "I didn't do anything," Taemin said. "They just gave up." "That's not nothing," Instructor Daeho said, approaching with a slight smile. "Come on, the Admiral wants you present for the negotiations." Admiral Kang had already moved to the command chamber with his security team. When Taemin and the others caught up, they found him facing High Commander Kreth. Both leaders studied each other with the careful attention of predators meeting for the first time. "Admiral Kang," Kreth said, bowing her head. "I am High Commander Kreth of the Vralth Dominion. On behalf of my people, I offer unconditional surrender. We acknowledge our crime of attacking a protected species. We are ready to face the Council's judgment." "Protected species?" Admiral Kang asked, looking at Kreth, then at Ambassador Lix's image on the screen. "I'm not familiar with that designation." Lix's crystalline form brightened. "Earth has been listed as restricted contact for the past 200 years. When your species developed radio technology, the Council chose to observe rather than interfere. Class 12 species require careful introduction to galactic civilization. The Vralth accessed your file but did not read the full classification before attacking. Because we thought humans were primitives," Ven added quietly. "We saw your technology level and assumed you would be easy to conquer. We did not understand what your world had made you." Admiral Kang's expression hardened. "Your mistake cost millions of human lives. Entire colonies were destroyed. You want me to negotiate after that?" "No," Kreth said simply. "I want you to decide our fate. The Council will follow your lead. If you demand our empire be destroyed, they will destroy it. If you demand our technology be taken away, they will take it. We put ourselves in your hands." "That's convenient for you," Yuna said, anger in her voice. "You attack us, lose, and now you want mercy." "We do not deserve mercy," Kreth replied. "But we ask for it anyway. Because we understand now what we did. We attacked a species that had never threatened us. We started a war we could never win. The guilt of that is mine. The punishment should be mine. But it will fall on billions of Vralth who never wanted this war." Admiral Kang was quiet for a long moment. Taemin watched the Admiral's face, seeing the conflict there. The desire for justice warring with the need for a lasting peace. "Tell me about the Council," the Admiral said finally. "If we join, what does that mean for Earth?" Ambassador Lix responded. "Council membership offers access to galactic trade, technology exchange, and diplomatic protection. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign species with full rights. However, there are responsibilities. Council members must follow galactic law. They must participate in mutual defense. They must open their borders to peaceful contact. And if we refuse membership, then Earth remains isolated," Lix said. "The Council will maintain the restricted zone around your system. No species will be allowed to contact you. But you will also have no protection, and the knowledge that humanity exists is now spreading. Other empires will want to test your strength. Some may wish to use you as weapons. Others may fear you enough to attack first." Admiral Kang looked at his team, then at Taemin. "Cadet Kim, you've been here from the beginning of this. What's your read on the situation?" Taemin blinked. "Sir, I'm just a cadet. Surely there are better people to ask." "You boarded this ship alone," the Admiral said. "You saw them surrender. You talked with them before any of us arrived. I want your opinion." Taemin looked at Kreth, then at Ven. He thought about everything they had told him. About death worlds and persistence predators and the fear in their voices when they spoke about humans. They weren't monsters. They were just people who had made a terrible mistake. "I think they're telling the truth," Taemin said slowly. "They're scared of us. Really scared. But they're trying to make it right. And I think the galaxy is going to be scared of us too, unless we show them we're more than just predators." Instructor Daeho nodded. "There's an old saying, the strongest warriors know when not to fight. Maybe it's time we prove that." Admiral Kang turned back to Kreth. "Here are Earth's terms. The Vroth will withdraw from all human territories immediately. You will provide full reparations, including technology and resources to rebuild what you destroyed. You will share all your knowledge of galactic civilization with us. Agreed, Kreth said without hesitation. I'm not finished, the Admiral continued. In addition, a portion of your fleet will be stationed around human colonies. Not as conquerors. As protectors, you will guard our borders until trust is rebuilt between our species. This may take years, perhaps decades, but you will prove through action that you mean your words of peace. Kreth and Ven exchanged glances. Then Kreth did something that shocked everyone. She lowered herself to the floor, all four arms spread wide. We swear on the memory of our fallen, she said, her voice solemn. Never again will Vroth weapons target humanity. We offer the Oath of Koresh, the highest oath in our culture. Our fleet will serve as shield for human space. We will earn your trust or we will die trying. One by one, every Vroth in the command chamber lowered themselves in the same gesture. The sight of hundreds of alien warriors prostrating themselves before a handful of humans was overwhelming. Ambassador Lix's form pulsed with bright light. The Council accepts these terms. Admiral Kang, on behalf of Earth, do you accept Council membership? Admiral Kang looked at his team one more time. Yuna nodded. Deho nodded. And Taemin, despite being just a cadet, nodded too. We accept, Admiral Kang said, on the condition that Earth retains full sovereignty. We'll follow Council law, but we make our own decisions. Agreed, Lix said. Welcome to the Galactic Council, humanity. You are the first Class 12 species to join as equal members rather than monitored threats. What you do next will set the precedent for all others. Taemin felt something shift in that moment. Earth wasn't alone anymore. They were part of something bigger, something that could be wonderful or terrible depending on what they chose to do with it. Kreth rose from her prostration. There is something else you should know, Admiral. There are 7 other Class 12 species in the galaxy. All of them are isolated, feared, and alone. With humanity's help, perhaps they could be reached. Perhaps they could be shown that being powerful doesn't mean being hated. Admiral Kang smiled slightly. You're suggesting we become ambassadors to other Deathworlders? Who better? Van asked. You understand what they are because you are what they are. The Council has tried to contact them for centuries and failed. Perhaps humans will succeed where others have not. Ambassador Lix brightened again. The Council would support such an initiative. In fact, we would fund it. A joint mission of humans and Vroth, reaching out to other dangerous species, showing them there is a place for them in galactic civilization. Taemin saw the future opening before them, not just peace with the Vroth, but a chance to change how the galaxy worked. A chance to prove that predators could protect instead of destroy. That strength could be used for good. I volunteer, he said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. For the mission, to find the other Class 12 species, I want to help. Admiral Kang studied him for a long moment, then smiled. You've earned it, Cadet. Or should I say Lieutenant? I think a promotion is in order. 6 months had passed since the day Taemin boarded the Vroth battleship. Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The planet that had been isolated for its entire history was now a member of the Galactic Council. Ships from a dozen different species now visited regularly, bringing technology, trade goods, and curious aliens who wanted to see the famous Deathworld for themselves. Lieutenant Taemin Kim stood in the observation deck of humanity's first deep space exploration vessel. The ship was called New Horizon, and it represented everything that had changed. It was built using a combination of human engineering and Vroth technology, with Council funding and the blessing of a dozen species who wanted to see this experiment succeed. The crew was mixed. Humans worked alongside Vroth, learning each other's languages and customs. There were also representatives from other Council species eager to be part of history. The mission was simple in concept but massive in scope. Find the 7 other Class 12 species and offer them what humanity had been given. A chance to join the galaxy without fear. Still can't believe we're really doing this, Lieutenant Yuna said, approaching Taemin at the window. She had volunteered for the mission too, leaving her position on the Defiant Hope to be part of the diplomatic team. Captain Hana had given her blessing, though she made Yuna promise to stay safe. Neither can I, Taemin admitted. He looked out at Earth, blue and green and beautiful, growing smaller as the ship prepared to leave orbit. 6 months ago, I was just a cadet. Now I'm on a mission that could change the galaxy. You were never just a cadet, Instructor Deho said, joining them. He had also volunteered, unable to resist the chance to explore beyond known space. You were always meant for something like this. I saw it in your academy scores. You had the heart of an explorer. The ship's intercom crackled. All crew to stations. Jump to faster than light in 10 minutes. Anyone who needs to say goodbye to Earth, this is your last chance. Taemin pressed his hand against the window. He thought about his family still on Earth, probably watching the ship on the news. He had visited them during the preparation period, tried to explain what he was doing. His mother had cried. His father had been proud but worried. His little sister had asked him to bring her back something from an alien world. He had promised he would try. On the bridge, Admiral Ji-hoon Kang sat in the captain's chair. He had insisted on leading this mission personally, despite protests from Earth Command. I started this chapter of human history, he had said. I should see it through. Beside him sat High Commander Kreth. The sight still surprised many humans, but it was becoming normal. Kreth had kept her oath. Froth ships now guarded human colonies, and not a single incident had occurred. Trust was building slowly, one day at a time. Crew report ready, Ven said from the tactical station. She had also joined the mission, serving as Kreth's second, just as she had on the battleship. All systems green. Course laid in for the first target. The first Class 12 species on our list is located in the outer rim, Ambassador Lick said. Her crystalline form appeared on a holographic display. She wasn't physically aboard the ship, but she maintained constant communication. They call themselves the Krell. They evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme temperature variations. The Council attempted contact 40 years ago. The Krell destroyed the diplomatic ship and warned us never to return. Sounds friendly, Yuna muttered. They sound scared, Taemin corrected. Just like the Vroth were scared of us. They probably thought the Council was trying to conquer them. Kreth nodded her large head. That is likely accurate. When you are strong, you assume everyone wants to either use you or destroy you. The Krell need to see that strength can be met with respect, not fear. Admiral Kang turned to look at his crew. Humans and Vroth and others all working together. This mission is dangerous. The Krell might attack us the moment we enter their space. They might not listen to anything we have to say. But we have to try. Because if we can reach them, if we can show them there's a better way, then maybe the next Class 12 species will be easier. And the one after that, we're not just exploring. We're building bridges. 5 minutes to jump, the navigation officer called out. Taemin returned to his station. His role on the ship was officially listed as cultural liaison, but really he was there because of what he represented. The scared cadet who had faced his fears and found peace instead of war. Admiral Kang believed that story would resonate with other Death World species. Taemin hoped he was right. As the countdown continued, he thought about everything that had led to this moment. The war, the desperate mission, the moment of boarding the battleship, certain he would die, the shock of seeing the Vroth surrender, learning that humanity was feared across the galaxy, and then the choice to turn that fear into something better. 1 minute to jump, the navigation officer said. Taemin pulled up a file on his console. It was a message he had started writing weeks ago, meant for the Academy archives. He had finally finished it that morning. The message read, "This is Lieutenant Taemin Kim, formerly Cadet Kim of Earth Defense Academy. If you're watching this, you're probably a student wondering what it means to be human in a galaxy that fears us. I can't give you all the answers. I'm still figuring it out myself. But I can tell you what I've learned. We're not monsters. We're not angels either. We're human. We survived a world that tried to kill us every day. That made us strong. That made us scary to species who never had to fight for survival. But being strong doesn't mean we have to be violent. Being scary doesn't mean we have to be cruel. The galaxy will judge us by what we do next. Not by what we can do, but by what we choose to do. We can be the predators they fear, or we can be the protectors they need. The choice is ours. Every single day we make that choice. I chose to board an enemy battleship because I thought I would die there. Instead, I found out that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose mercy when you have the power to destroy. That lesson isn't just for me. It's for all of us, for all of humanity. We're going out there now, into the unknown, to find others like us, other Death Worlders, other predators, other species that the galaxy fears. We're going to show them what we learned, that being powerful means you have the responsibility to be kind. That fear can be transformed into respect, that the strongest warriors are the ones who know when not to fight. Earth's children walk among the stars now. What happens next is up to us. I think we're going to surprise everyone, including ourselves. 10 seconds, the navigation officer called out. Taman saved the file and sent it to the Academy database. Maybe some future cadet would watch it and understand. Maybe they would learn from his mistakes and his successes. Maybe they would be inspired to make their own choices about what it means to be human. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump. The new horizon leaped into faster-than-light travel. Stars stretched and blurred. The ship shook slightly, then settled into the strange non-sensation of FTL flight. They were on their way to meet the Krell, to meet another species that had been isolated by fear. Taman looked around the bridge, at humans and Vrolth working side by side, at Admiral Kang giving orders with calm confidence, at Kreth and Ven maintaining their positions with quiet dignity. 6 months ago, this would have been impossible. Now it was just another day. Time to destination. 3 days, the navigation officer reported. 3 days to prepare. 3 days to plan. 3 days to hope that they could do for the Krell what the Vrolth had done for humanity. Show them that they didn't have to be alone. Lieutenant Yuna came to stand beside Taman's station. Nervous? She asked. Terrified, he admitted with a slight smile. But I'm going anyway. That's what humans do, right? We function despite fear. That's what they say, Yuna agreed. We're the scary ones. The Death World predators. The nightmares made real. Maybe, Taman said. But we're also the ones who showed mercy when we didn't have to. Who chose peace when we could have chosen revenge? Who decided to reach out instead of striking back? That's scary in a different way. A better way? Instructor Deho joined them holding 3 cups of coffee. He handed them out and raised his own in a toast. To the mission, he said. To building bridges. To showing the galaxy what humanity really is. To humanity, Yuna echoed. To all of us, Taman added, including the Vrolth and the other species aboard. To everyone who chooses to be better. They drank their coffee and watched the stars streak past. Somewhere ahead lay the Krell homeworld. Somewhere beyond that were 6 more Class 12 species waiting to be found. And somewhere in the future was the galaxy that humanity would help create. A galaxy where strength was respected instead of feared. Where predators could protect instead of destroy. Where Death World species could stand together and show everyone else that being dangerous didn't mean being evil. It was a big dream. Maybe an impossible dream. But humans had never been good at accepting impossible. They had survived Earth. They had survived a war with a superior force. They had turned enemies into allies. If they could do all that, maybe they could do this too. The new horizon flew on through the void, carrying hope into the darkness, proving with every light year that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to fight. It was their ability to choose not to offer their hand instead of their fist, to smile not as a threat, but as a genuine gesture of friendship. The galaxy was watching. Earth's children would not disappoint them. Taman was sure of that now. They would surprise everyone. Not by being the monsters they were expected to be, but by being something the galaxy had never seen before. Predators who chose to be protectors, warriors who chose to be peacemakers, Deathworlders who chose to bring life. The journey had just begun, and Taman couldn't wait to see where it would lead.